Hello everyone and welcome back to another brand new GP Bikes video, and more importantly a brand new GP Bikes League. Now today we are starting round 1 of the BMW RR International Cup. Round 1 comes here in Hockenheim, roughly 300 kilometers north of the factory in Munich. So basically 5-round league, pretty standard GP Bikes stuff, and yeah, looking forward to it. The main interesting kind of facet to this league is that we're all on the same bike. We're on the M1000 RR 2024 edition of the bike, basically the most up-to-date one in the SPK 22 pack. It is the current beta 1 version of it, so it's the first time in a long time that I've been in a league where it's been pretty much, in a way, it's kind of a spec series because we're all on the same equipment, so it really is down to getting the most out of the bike. And it's one of those things that when I saw first, it really interests me, because a lot of times, if we go back slightly to the World Superbike League, the European Superbike League, the Motor America, I'm not always on the best equipment. I'm not always the one that will go and take the quickest bike. A lot of time I'll end up putting myself on something that I like more than will go faster on, which is probably not the best thing to do. So this is just a nice change to be pretty much on equal equipment. So if I know I can't really have any excuse that goes, oh, that guy's such and such, his bike is much quicker in a straight line or has this advantage over me, because we're all on the exact same bike. So it's really down to the rider to get the most out of setup, qualifying, and the whole race. So it's a fun little series we have, and I look forward to the rest of the season. Obviously we're here at round 1 of 5, so we have a unusual calendar to say the least. There's a couple of tracks on it that I don't think I've ever done a league race on, so I'm not going to spoil it. I'm going to keep it quiet. I will tell you what round 2 is at the end of this one, but we're just coming to the end of my qualifying lap now, and the pace was ridiculously hot in the 40-minute qualifying session. I want to say 40-50 minutes of qualifying. As you probably all know at this point, 1 lap pace has never been something I've been extremely fast at, and I qualified P8, which is not great considering if you go back to the end of last year when I did the EP23 kind of sprint championship. I qualified on the front row for all 3 rounds, which was something that even then surprised me. But unfortunately, even though, again, it just looks like over 1 lap I'm not that special, which is not something I've ever thought I was really. Race paces where I'm kind of decent at. Just coming here to the end of the warm-up lap, celebrating the fact I've made it really. So yeah, it's going to be a long race, 17 laps, P8. It's, again, I say this in every single league video, it's critical we get a good launch, and that it's exactly what this race will come down to, whether we get off the line fast and cleanly enough or whether we go backwards. 4 red lights and we are away. Initial launch decent, just go up a bit of a kind of a cul-de-sac there between Billy Jones and Bob, but unfortunately for Billy, doesn't seem to get a good launch himself. We get a decent run through turn 1. Bob just looks like a bit of a cold rear tire, has small bit pumping, and we're just alongside him, so we're just going to level into the difficult turn 2. You can see the bike just squirming around a small bit. We had a full cycling lap and warm-up lap, so on the opening lap here I was just a bit tentative because I knew lap 2, 3, 4 the bike just wouldn't be up to temperature in terms of tires, and it would just be easy to make a small mistake, run deep with a full tank of fuel. 17 laps here is pretty much a full tank with the warm-up lap and everything, so it was just a matter of getting the first lap out of the way, getting temperatures up to the required limits to push on. You saw there a collision, I believe that was Garang and Foxbox are having a collision into the hairpin, a hotspot for accidents in Group B as well as the Pro List here today. So it's going to be an interesting one how that progresses throughout the race, that corner, because it really is a tricky one, because you're coming in there with a bit of lean, trying to change direction, get back 5 gears into first gear. It's a real tricky corner, so there definitely will be more action through the video at that corner. But we've had pretty amazing start up until this corner here, where it just gets sucked in slightly. You can see again, trying to run slightly before I can, just should be kind of trying to focus on walking into this race and trying to push myself too far. I just felt at that point in time there, looked like Frisky in front of me was just a little bit off the boil, and felt like Ben was just escaping, so I was trying to put pressure on him, and basically cold tires caught me out. The bike just did not want to stop or turn in, so I ran very wide, and I've kind of given the Indonesian in front of me a good second or so advantage, so I've taken the pressure off him. And at this point now, it's all about just getting the tires into the window and kind of building on my relatively good start. So of course the 2 riders taking themselves out at the hairpin was a bonus for me in terms of overall race, and of course getting a better start than the others on my row and the few in front of me. So my pace is good but not great is what I would say. This current beta, I'm not too sure why, but I just feel like I'm lacking something. It seems very progressive and more dominant for a heavy braker, which I'm definitely not, so it's something I've had to change my braking style so many ways. And up in the practice for this as well, I really just didn't feel like I had much in braking. Now thankfully, going into this event and the race day, I felt pretty good on the day, and in the race you'll see later on I feel pretty decent on the brakes, but it's something that I have to work a lot at to get to the level where I was for this one, whereas previously I felt pretty competent on the brakes against most people, to the point where it's not something I need to focus on. But here I really had to go with a stiffer front tyre just to kind of aid in the braking and just focus a bit more than I usually will. Usually it's all kind of early braking, corner speed and flow for me, which is something that just doesn't seem to work for me at the moment on this base. And obviously we're not a million miles off where we were, but I just feel whatever Pavoso's changing this beta just ever so slightly is taking maybe some of my strengths away a bit, because the corner speed doesn't seem to be the key skill. It seems this beta that we currently have on a couple of mods, it's very much brake late, squared off V, especially on these SPK 22 pack, and even more so on the current BMW. Now we get to the start of lap 3, 2.5 seconds up to Ben taking a good early lead here. Other riders around him, Superman, Grang, are pretty much nowhere at this point, and Foxboxer of course, so some of the fast guys are gone. So I'd say at this point Ben was just thinking kind of same as me really, just start trying to take the laps off, get into a decent rhythm, and just burn off a bit of fuel and just get yourself into the last quarter of the race and see where you're at, take kind of a stock at that point and stuff. But we have a very new Italian to the game, Billy Jones, right on cue. Billy Jones, the Italian, very new to the game, only a month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks on the game, and I must say he is very quick, and he's up behind me. Wouldn't even say a failed attempt to overtake, I think that was just more of a mistake, and he just kind of shot himself into the inside, because that really didn't look like he actually had any interest in going for the move. But you can see here now, as we're on to the middle of lap 4, he has this time gotten the move pretty cleanly done, just goes very tight. So I'm trying to square him off again, but just does enough on exit to kind of hold it, and I'm not really going to throw the bike up into this very fast and technical right-hander here. Now one thing I noticed, and you'll probably see it throughout the race, and it was something I can actually watch back after the race when I was up against some of the front runners, that out of the corner I just seem to be losing a small bit there. That's where I feel the weakest at the moment. I thought it would be the braking, but it's actually just edge of the tire, and especially drive grip. This mod really doesn't kind of reward smoother riders and people who don't kind of go 0 to 100% throttle. This mod seems to be very much ride along the electronics, which is very much not how I ride. So it's one of those things where I'll start off a week of practice and I'll be way off the speed, because it'll take me a lot of time to train my brain into basically nearly going 0 to 100% throttle in a lot of these corners. So you'll see it on the screen. I'm going to watch my throttle input as Billy goes out onto the AstroTurf, and that is the podium back. A lot of the time I'll get to about 60% throttle and my brain will be like, alright, we have to kind of pin it now, even though I don't feel like it's the right thing to do and the right way to ride. But it is just at the moment the way I am riding, which is, it's a bit unfortunate because the smoothness that I usually have isn't really working for me, so I'm going to have to ride the bike slightly different, which means that some of the natural speed that I would have, I was just kind of gone missing a small bit, because of the fact I have to ride in a different way to make the lap time. So riding a bit hampered, but same time changing setup again and kind of working with it. But again, we jump now to lap 6. Billy Jones once again has had a very nice slipstream up the very fast left parabolica. Same move, same again. He was a little bit sideways that time. I went to cut back and he just had a small bit of a bobble. Maybe it was lag or not, so it just put me off. And again, that really compromised my exit, and that really kind of put praise to any chance of getting back. We have a think about having a look in here, because again, this is one corner where, first off, Billy seems to be taking a very weird line in. I felt like I could probably outbrake him there, but for now I've kind of decided, you know what, I've lost touch with Ben, I've lost touch with Frisky in front of me, so it's probably best to leave him go and see can I just go with him. But the only thing is, when he gets in front of me, he's instantly trying to push on, but I feel like he is a bit too concerned about me, because it feels like he's just riding tight when he gets in front of me. Again, look, I am being severely held up through a lot of this part of the track when he's in front of me, so you can see the delta is going very much red, losing time pretty much ever. And again, I'm kind of just getting on and off throttle because he's just kind of right in my way. And it's funny how how much faster he is than me, but when he just lost that wheel and that touch, it just takes him a couple laps to get back to his speed. But there's no doubt that Billy will find his speed and pull away from me at some point in this race. But I just found it interesting that when he did get in front of me, it took him, it wasn't instant. He couldn't just put the hammer down and pull away like some riders could. It took him a while, and he was kind of giving me, again, if I was battling for the lead, it would be ideal because it would give me that opportunity to kind of strike back. But as soon as I got ahead of him a while ago and went on the AstroTurf, it was a matter of straight away I was on the back wheel looking for an overtake. And this time, roles reversal, we are in the slipstream, but we just are not close enough as we get to the point where I wanted to brake, so I didn't really want to go for a very aggressive and kind of a dangerous move into the hairpin. It's really, really difficult to make that move, so I decided to draw it. I'll stick behind him. I'll kind of stay in formation, and I'll see, can I, like I said, kind of use him to pull me forward. Like the pace at the time, I didn't feel like I was going incredibly quick, but the lap times were pretty strong. To be doing 35s as a race pace really, really consistently was, I must say, pretty nice to be able to do it. It was one of those things where that was kind of the goal, but it's easy to set a target. To be able to do it in the race while being pretty close to the front was nice as well. But you can just see now that Billy's had a kind of a lap in front of me. He's just starting to take a bit of time out of me and is on his charge now to get to P2 and maybe onto Ben as well for the lead. So we're just kind of being found out here that we're just not 100% at the races today, so I was kind of disappointed, expecting 7 laps in, almost a half race distance. Good bit of fuel's gone down now. The tyres are starting to wear nicely, so fastest lap of the race for me there, but at the same time really wasn't enough. You see here we just jumped a couple of laps up the road. Billy has leaped up to the boys in front, and you can kind of see that I'm actually a bit closer. It was nearly 4 seconds to Ben. It's come down now to 2 seconds. So the fact, it looked like Frisky went and caught Ben, has passed Ben, and then Billy has kind of used that to get onto the back of them, and then I've kind of made that to kind of gain back a bit of time. So I'm still doing 35s on my own, which is, again, really, really strong pace, and it's kept me in the hunt at the moment. And we've a big gap at the moment back to Biker, about 10 seconds back to the Britishman. So it's all a matter of if we can just nullify them little mistakes. At this point in the race, I was thinking to myself, if I could just find 2 or 3 tenths, I could probably make the gap and get there towards the end of the race, and maybe spring a surprise attack if I could get there. But at this point, it was probably the only part of the race where I slightly started overriding. You can see there, Frisky just went wide in the distance there, and that definitely would have compromised Ben through here, and probably let Billy have maybe a look. So at the time I was kind of seeing this as well, but just trying to focus mainly on my own riding and trying to, again, just bridge that gap, because I knew my pace wasn't terrible compared to theirs. I could probably make it up in the battle. You can see now as you come into a Sachs curve, pretty much there, we're pretty much on him. The lap time from them in front has really come down with the battling side by side, kind of compromising each other, and I'm pretty much there. So coming into the last 2 corners out, and they're just within touching distance here as we're at Statler 13. So not a long bit left in this race really, to be just kind of getting to the right part of the race, right part of the field as well. And again, you can just see so many different lines from the 3 in front. They're kind of constantly attacking and defending each other. They're 3 wide there. Didn't actually see that at the time. I saw a replay back of it. Ben and Billy Jones basically side by side clashed each other. Very lucky they both didn't go down. And you can see now we're just losing touch, the 3 of us, to Frisky. But onto the straight here, if you're within 3 tenths of the rider in front, pretty much enough to get slipstream. So it looks like Frisky just wasn't able to kind of defeat the whole slipstream effect. Billy Jones gets it all wrong in there, trying to outbrake Ben. Unlucky for me that I wasn't able to capitalise for him, but he did very well at the same time not to clatter into the side of the Indonesian Frisky in the lead. So looks like Frisky has made a mistake there, just run off onto the green. We take a lot of time out of the 3 in front into this very difficult, I think it's Mercedes-Benz corner, not too sure if that's the name, but the Mercedes-Benz grandstand is there. So it's what I in my head call the corner, but we're pretty much there now again, and it feels like this time I'm probably the faster of the 4 at the moment, and that's mainly just because I have clear track. I feel like Billy's trying to overtake people, Ben is battling Frisky, they're going side by side, and we're coming on to 3 or 4 laps to go here, and I'm pretty much in the battle for the lead. So this was a big surprise for me really. I didn't expect this. The pace just wasn't good enough. You can see the last lap at 35.2, which is pretty silly at this point in the race. But coming out here again, I'm just trying to maintain a good exit and just keep with them really. And Billy's once again just gone on to the AstroTurf, so we level him just make sure we get the position off, and Frisky is a touch wide, so that's going to compromise his run down to turn 2. And again, we're right in the slipstream now, so we're going to try and make good while we have it, because it's worth so much around this lap. And you can just see again on the brakes, it looks like I am pretty comfortable on the brakes at the moment with these guys. And again, it looks like maybe just a slight little mistake there on the exit from Frisky, and we're right on the back wheel. Fortunately, mightn't look as bad now, but he was just kind of moving around and lagging small bit, so I was just a little bit unsure. But we do end up going for the move into the hairpin. We just do enough to kind of level him. In fairness to Frisky, he does give me the space, very clean and very fair. Again, just out of here, you just notice now, watch as he comes back at me, that was just the one thing I noticed, that just the way they get drive grip and just how they kind of put the power down and make good of it really. But that was probably one of my weaknesses throughout this race, and probably with this mod in general. But thankfully, half a lap, 2 positions, we're now up into P2 somehow. Now at this point, I was kind of just thinking to myself, right, keep going, let's see, can we get onto the back of Ben? If we get onto Ben, we might be able to just kind of, hopefully, if we could just kind of slice through them and kind of get away, luckily we might be able to win this race. But I knew passing or catching Ben would not be an easy task. But this last sector here, just kind of Mickey Mouse sector, I felt like I was probably the quickest out of the 4 of us here. The rest of the lap, the flowing stuff, ironically, is where I felt a bit weak, and just trying to get out of the slower corners, I was really losing a lot of time to them. But we're just taking a small bit of time with a Ben here, and I'm thinking to myself, well, this could be my chance. I kind of have to make sure I get a really good lap, and I get 35.5 for me that lap with the double overtakes. And we take a lovely bit of corner speed through turn 1, half a tent under there already, and Ben just goes a bit defensive to cover me off, just making sure I'm not kind of getting slipstream. But really, at this point in the race, I was just so far back, all he did was kind of bring me closer. But again, just out of this corner here, we just don't seem to get the drive. And you'll see here in a second, I do believe Frisky does get a much better drive. And even though I'm in the slipstream of Ben, the Indonesian behind me does already, I don't think he actually doesn't pass me this lap, I don't believe. But judging by the way I got out of the previous corner, I was kind of hoping that maybe I could get closer to Ben. But you see, it just wasn't even anywhere near him to be able to make any sort of attempt to pass me at the hairpin. So you see, again, out of the hairpin, lose so much time. So pretty clear where all our lap time is going, and just running a touch deep there, just trying to do kind of a couple of qualifying laps out to finish this race to see can I just get close enough to Ben to just maybe force a mistake. But at the moment, Ben is just doing enough to kind of keep me at arm's race, just to basically just fight off any chance of me going for an overtake. And I'm probably at the moment just overriding a touch, watching it back, just a couple of apexes going astray, and a few just not perfect lines through corners. You can see 0.6, 0.5 over this lap, so not a great one. Again, touching the curb through there, that just all gives small yards here and there back to Ben, which just makes my life a bit difficult trying to get back onto him. But again, in the last double corners there, we looked like we just pulled a small bit back. But as we start the penultimate lap of the race, Frisky now is really coming back at me, and we're really just trying to bridge this gap. And we just show a small bit here and there, but we're just not able to take enough out of Ben. Once again, he does go to cover me off into turn 2, but it's probably more his race line really. But again, it does look like it actually probably costs him on entry, but on exit he does just seem to hook it up a lot better than I do. And I'm not close. See, he's visibly pulled a good margin. Now I know he's getting on the power a bit earlier than me because he's slightly up the road, but you can see also how much I lost to Frisky, and he was already ahead of me. Like, if you remember back to when I did slipstream, I had to level him on the brakes. He was already ahead when I got on the brakes, so it just shows that my clear weakness stands out there. And again, it just affects me, unfortunately. Now we're back down to P3, and there's no question that Billy Jones will be kind of smelling blood and probably thinking he can have an attack as well. So I'm thinking to myself right now, we're about to come on to the last lap here in a second. I'm thinking, how do I play this really? And for me, at the time, I was thinking to myself, right, well, I just need to do a perfect lap, stay on the back of Frisky, because one, Frisky is probably the quickest out of the 4 of us over the whole lap, and I imagine if he's going to do anything, he'll probably catch Ben. But we do make one of our bigger mistakes of the race, just running slightly deep into Sachs curve, and it just gives, again, Frisky another, just a tenth maybe up the road, where essentially when we get to the next long straight, that he might be just too far ahead that I don't get slipstream. So I see small mistakes here and there that I just need to kind of eradicate at the moment. And again, out of this last corner, he just pulls away enough that I'm not really going to get any slipstream, which leaves me very, very vulnerable to the Italian Billy Jones behind. But again, Frisky, small mistake into turn 1 for a second. I thought he's gone down to all them kind of lag bits there, but fortunately not. And into this difficult turn 2. Again, we get really close. I'm thinking to myself, brilliant. It should do just enough if I can get a good. But again, the lag just made me hesitate. And that time, well, when hesitating, it was never going to be a good exit. And again, Frisky's just pulled away small, but you can see I'm slipstreaming him. But at this point in time, I'm thinking of an overtake. I'm just thinking to myself, can I just defend from Billy Jones, who goes for the almighty Hail Mary? But I think there's no way he's getting that stop. I'm going to square him off, and first big mistake of the race for me. Essentially what happened, went to basically turn the bike with the rear, get it up onto the rear, again knowing that I was a bit weak on corner exit. The fact he went with such an aggressive line, and he already done that twice in the race to me. I was thinking, as we get a yellow flag, Billy Jones tries to go for an overtake on Frisky and ends up on his ass. Also, back to what I was saying, basically, tried to square him off, couldn't, lost the front. Just through there, was a little bit timid because I wasn't sure what Billy Jones was about to do or where he was going. Just maybe he's overheated his tyres a touch because he just looks a bit timid tipping in. Now I knew in the last sector I had something over him, so I was like, if there's any chance of overtaking, I have to do a perfect last sector if I want any chance of getting this podium. Again, he's just touch wide there. We're all over the back of him at this point. I knew through this change of direction I was quicker. Just go across the curb and we just show him a wheel, and hopefully he gives us space. In fairness, he goes wide, so we just shoot up the inside. And I basically just try and keep position, make sure that he's on the outside, because there's no way he's going to ride around outside me, right out to the white line. And somehow we managed to salvage podium out of that. It was really satisfying to basically go from P3 to P4 and then re-overtake Billy on the last couple of corners there to get the first podium of the season from P8 on the grid. So once again, showing that the race paces and the kind of whole racecraft is always a bit better than the overall race. I mean, now it was a decent race from the two in front of me, but it was Benjamin who came out on top for the victory. Frisky, of course, came home in second, just slightly further back, but got a penalty for track limits further on in the race. I ended up P3, and looking back, it could have been definitely could have been P2 if we both had stayed on there, because the two boys, one in front, one behind, got penalties. So Billy Jones, with his penalty, still hangs on to P4. So in the end, like I said, probably was a guaranteed P2 if I didn't have the small spin in the last lap. But again, you just try a small bit too hard, and that was all she wrote, really. And Biker runs off very good, top 5 for the opening race season, qualified 10th, so it made up a lot of positions after being taken out on the opening lap. Now, that is it for round 1 of the BMW WR Competition Cup International League Championship, whatever you want to call it. It's a fun little event on GP Bikes, and again, we just have some on-screen action here from the last few laps. Round 2, of course, as you can see on screen, is from Phillip Island. That will be a couple of days' time at the time this goes out, so we are looking forward to that. A bit of a massive change, really, in track. A much heavier braking circuit here in Hockenheim, and into the really flowing high-speed track as well at Phillip Island. So again, I'm not too sure. Historically, I would have said that would have been a great racetrack for me. I would have been really confident going there, but the fact that we did so well at a track that's a lot of heavy braking zones and a bit stop-starty in some places, going to Phillip Island, I'm not too sure how I kind of feel for that one, but we're going to give it our all anyway and hope for the best. But it was a fun race here, and I look forward to battling some of these boys again here in Australia. But we're going to leave it there. I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, let me know in the comments, drop a like and show the love for the video, and thank you all for tuning in. I hope you have enjoyed. I shall see you all in a future episode. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.